Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. For this video, I want to go through the speech that Meghan gave at the opening ceremony of Invictus in 2022 in the Netherlands. I just felt like it was very disingenuous. There were parts of it that raised some red flags for me. So I'm going to go through little by little and just talk about what seems off to me, why it seems off to me, and relate it back to narcissism if possible, because in my opinion, Meghan Markle is a narcissist, and I am not a therapist though, so this is just based on the experience I have had over my life with narcissists. So let's get into it.
Good evening, everyone. We are so grateful to the Netherlands for welcoming us and for hosting the Invictus Games.
Okay, so right off the bat, this gratitude seems very surface level, overly formal. It lacks depth or specificity about the Netherlands' role. It's very generic. Thank you to the entire country, and I think this is what gives it a disingenuous vibe. I feel like it could have seemed more sincere if specific groups of people would have been called out, like thank you for the Department of blah blah blah, thank you for the city of blah 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 for all your contributions to making the Invictus Games happen here in the Netherlands. How this relates back to narcissism is that narcissists prioritize what something looks like rather than what something feels like. So phrasing it this way is the focus is to make it sound gracious, to make it sound really, really nice and appear as a grateful guest, but it just misses the mark on that, in my opinion. I also want to mention this isn't a big deal, but it looks to me like she is looking at a teleprompter. So this is, obviously this is a speech that was written out before, and, she's also getting cues from this by looking at the teleprompter, in my opinion.
For each team, my husband and I both recognize it's been a lot to get here, both physically and emotionally.
Here we go again, another example where she doesn't say her husband's name. She doesn't acknowledge him as a person. His only purpose in life is a reflection or his relation to her, and that is of her husband. In a public speech like this, it feels so dismissive of Harry, and it reduces him to a role in her narrative. It shifts attention to her relationship rather than on Harry's contributions, which is critical because Harry, whether we're not talking about facts here, right? Harry in his mind is the main driving force of the Invictus Games. So she is almost taking that away from him and taking his achievements away from him and making it about her. Narcissists often do this. They frame achievements through their relationships and make it about themselves. This acknowledgement of effort feels like a performance and it doesn't feel heartfelt. And I think us as the audience, we are able to recognize this.
Not least of which for the Ukraine team, whom we are all standing with. Oksana team, we talked about it yesterday. Slava Ukraini.
The part of this that sounds off to me is when she added that statement, we talked about it yesterday. It's self-referential. It implies that she has had personal discussions, lending to her weight to the solidarity in standing with Ukraine. It almost is creating this false level of intimacy and closeness to the issue. And actually, narcissists, they do this. They insert themselves into global or important issues to enhance their image. Mentioning that a conversation took place before, it focuses back on her. It focuses on her involvement and not on the Ukraine team. So I'm curious to know if you all see this too. So if you do, please drop it in the comments.
One thing I know for sure is that every single moment it has taken to get here will be worth it. Because it is here at the Invictus Games that we honor your years of active duty on the field and your continued service to your country, to your family, and your community off the field. Thank you so much for your service, and thank you to all the family and the friends that are here who've been supporting you along the way.
Okay, so the first part of this sentence to me sounds incredibly invalidating, because she says that it's been challenging to get here, but every single moment will be worth it. How do you know that? How do you know what struggles people have had in order to get there? It just seems like a very strong conclusion to make, and you don't know what it's taken people to get there. This whole thing also, like this section, also seems so off to me because it's overly polished and rehearsed. It lacks warmth or specificity. It's very acting based, like she's very strategic about where she's putting her pauses. It sounds disingenuine again. And also it sounds more like a political speech rather than personal acknowledgments. Oftentimes, narcissists rely on scripted compliments to maintain appearances, focusing on being perceived as supportive without genuine connection. And I think that's something to remember here. And also, it's a little hypocritical to me for someone who has a bad history or a bad track record, in my opinion, on service to country, family, and community, to come and applaud people for their service. I don't know, I would imagine there are people in this audience that might be angered with this assertion that she made.
Because this is service, this is dedication, and this is the Invictus family.
Again, what I hear are these deliberate, dramatic pauses, and I think this, lends more to this appearance of not being genuine. And you'll notice the audience also has a delayed response with their applause. To me, this shows that her delivery did not go very well. She seems overly self-important or theatrical, and she's waiting for validation. Narcissists may overemphasize dramatic pauses or phrasings to ensure that they remain the focal point, seeking external approval for their perceived powerful moments. And I think that's exactly what happened during this moment. And also, let's not forget, again, the hypocrisy with her feelings and her discussion of the word service. It reminds me of what she said in response to something the Queen said, and you all can drop it in the comments. I don't remember exactly what it was, but she said something about service is universal, and it was like a clap back to the Queen, I believe. And sorry if I'm getting the facts wrong, but just whenever she talks about service, that just rubs me the wrong way, because we've seen her efforts, and they're disingenuine and they're completely self-serving, both in terms of the causes she supports, and also in the way she approaches it as a photo op or a PR opportunity.
Now, it is my distinguished honor to introduce someone that I think you'll all be very excited to hear from. He has also spent many late nights and early mornings planning for these games to make them as perfect as possible for each of you.
Again, this just seems disingenuous to me. While she's intending on praising Harry, her statement actually feels patronizing or insincere because it frames his efforts through her perspective. I think you'll all be excited. It's her opinion about it, rather than saying, that part could have been completely taken out. It didn't need to be said. Narcissists will compliment others while subtly retaining ownership of the narrative, and that's exactly what I think she's doing here. The focus still remains on her perception of Harry's work rather than his actual achievements, and we see her do this time and time again.
I could not love and respect him more, and I know that all of you feel the same, because he is your fellow veteran, having served 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan and 10 years of military service.
So much with this part. I could not love and respect him more. I don't know why this sentence is even appropriate to say. I don't know if it's necessary to say. It just, it just seems a little bit over the top and not professional, maybe is the way to say it. And then she continues with, I know that all of you feel the same. When someone claims universal feelings like this, like I know all of you feel the same, it's presumptuous. You don't know that people feel the same. And this is, I think, the second time that she made an assumption like that, generalizing what the audience may feel. This phrasing suggests an attempt to speak for the audience rather than letting them form their own opinions. And I think, in my opinion, this is where her narcissism shows, because she's projecting her thoughts, her feelings, her perspective on everybody. She's assuming that her opinions are shared and her thoughts are admired universally.
He's the founder of the Invictus Games and the father to our two little ones, Archie and Lily. Please welcome my incredible husband, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex.
Right? Like grown. Okay, so much here. Including personal details about her children in this professional setting could be viewed as oversharing, pulling focus away from Harry's achievement and toward her personal narrative. Look how she is inserting herself again. This is not about her. This is not about Harry's contributions to her family. This is about Harry's contributions to the Invictus Games. She is shifting the focus again back to her by talking about her children, by again calling her my incredible husband. And I honestly don't think she would have introduced him by name. Like, this is the only circumstance that she actually uses his name, because she says, please welcome my incredible husband, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. Like, she had to say his name in that part. So narcissists often, they overshare personal details to make situations about them, and that's exactly what Meghan is doing, even when they're introducing someone else. So it's like her job is to introduce someone else, but she is talking about herself. It positions her as central to his accomplishments, and in my opinion, that is exactly what I see here. So, like, just to summarize, I think Meghan's gratitude in the beginning feels generic. The speech is overly polished and it just seems disingenuous. She refers to Harry as her husband multiple times until she had to actually name him by name. She inserts herself into the Ukraine story by mentioning how she had a conversation the day before. She gives these performative compliments where she's praising the veterans. It feels very rehearsed, and it just doesn't align with what she is, in my opinion. She has dramatic pauses, and she often misses the mark because there are delays between when she finishes her sentence and the applause start, which means, in my opinion, that she fell short. She's also waiting for these pauses because they are external validation for her. She makes multiple universal statements, assuming that people feel something that they may not feel, and she overshares family details. There was no reason for her to bring up her children in this formal context. There also was no reason to bring up that she loves her husband. Why would you even need to say that? Like, shouldn't we already assume that you love your husband? I mean, you've been saying it in the tabloids for years now, right? So, anyways, this is my perception on this entire speech. I'm wondering how you all feel about it. Do you see what I see? Does this speech make you feel awkward too? Yeah, so if this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. It goes such a long way. If you think someone else might enjoy this video, please share it. I really do love this community. I'm just having such a good time making these videos and interacting with all of you, and I just want to thank you all for listening. Yeah, and I can't wait to talk to you all soon. Goodbye.